Welcome, broadcasting to the entirety of the Super Smash Bros. Community. This is Beyond the Metagame. I'm your host, Peon, this week live from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's quarry. I'm joined, as always, by wonderful co-host, AV. AV, how's it going, big boy?
You know, that's actually a little bit of a macabre thing to say. It's like, so The Rock owns a distribution and creation like plant of other rocks.
Yeah, like, man, that guy's got to sort out some issues for sure. That's what they say. They say he was a football player. They say that if you play football, you actually sustain life-altering and personality-altering head injuries, and perhaps that's what led Rock to this sort of cannibalistic production.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some options there for some sadomasochistic activity there with the rocks and the quarries.
Whoa, AV, have I been a bad influence on you? What the hell's going on? Okay, we're just gonna fly right past that one. AV, we're gonna do some quick housekeeping. I want to keep this intro brief this week because we have a hell of a guest for you today. We have the phenomenal EE joining AV and I. He is a favorite commentator of both AV and I. He's one of the most beloved forces in the Smash Bros. And NBA 2K communities. And look, man, I'm excited to get into this interview. But before we do so, AV, I want to do some quick housekeeping. Namely, we are announcing the BTM Season 4 tournament. That will occur on September, get your calendars out, September 29th. That's right, September 29th. The time at which it will start is to be determined. More details will follow in the next couple of weeks. In order to enter this tournament, you're going to need to join the Beyond the Metagame Discord server. That Discord server could be found in the show notes on our website. And so go ahead down there and join, please, today. It's a great place to be. A lot of friendly people, a really great community for the self-improvement minded smasher. AV, anything to add?
No. Discord's awesome. Definitely come down, play some games with me and Peon. We'll have fun with you, talking voice chat. Also, speaking of special places to hang out with me and Peon, if you are so inclined, we do have a Patreon, which you can so kindly donate to. We do have costs running this show. There are it's not cheap, it's not free.
Yes.
So we do incur some stuff there. So,
and let's be honest, AV has racked up a hell of a lot of debt. The worst thing I ever did was co-sign a lease with AV because my credit has never been lower. It's like he's playing limbo with my bank account. I am frankly miserable. That said, please consider becoming one of our patrons. You'll see a lot of great rewards, and the notes for that will be on our website and in the show notes as well. AV, we're going to get right to it. Up next, we have an interview with EE. You got anything to add before we go into it?
No, but it's his energy's infectious. He's an awesome guy. It was a really, really great time interviewing him, and I think everyone will have something to take away from this great time.
So all that and more in just 1 second. Welcome back to Beyond the Metagame. This week, AV and I are joined by famed caster / host for both Super Smash Bros. And the NBA 2K League. He's one half of the iconic Black Plague and is known for bringing the hype and humor with his patented, what the hell did he just say, commentary style. He is also a streamer, an all-around gamer, and much more, I'm sure. Thank you so much for coming, the phenomenal EE.
Well, thank you. I'd just like to, first I wanted to start out and say that's probably the best introduction I've ever had. And I've done a ton of interviews, and that was very well put together, very well articulated. I don't know if you practiced it or not, man, but it came out nicely. I'm happy to be on the show.
I have been in front of the mirror for the last 2 hours.
I had a feeling. I didn't want to say it, but I had a feeling. But it paid off, so we good.
Thank God, man. Thank God. Evie, I just want to kind of get right into it. I mean, you're known as one of the most beloved figures in Smash, but I haven't really ever heard this story. Like, what got you hooked onto Smash in the first place, and what keeps you here now?
Oh man. Well, let's see. So my roots for Smash actually go back to probably like 2006, I want to say. I used to be like really big into Yu-Gi-Oh. Like Yu-Gi-Oh was my jam, and I was playing at my locals actually. I actually missed a school dance to go to a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. That's how cool I was back then. And
Yeah,
and
that's
Well, hey, you got your own Dark Magician girl. You don't need
right?
you don't need no dance.
That's how it was. But somebody had brought up a copy of Super Smash Bros. Melee like to the venue that we were having this tournament at, and we would kind of just play some rounds in between, the tournament rounds, just for fun or whatever. And of course, obviously, we're younger, we're like hyper competitive and just talking all this trash. Roy's the best character in the game. Far from it, obviously, but that's how we were back then. And we ended up deciding that the following week we're just gonna have a tournament for Smash Bros. Melee. And played. It was awesome, but it actually ended up getting a lot of interest. Believe it or not, this tournament that we just held kind of randomly actually ended up having like almost 70 people in it, right? So that's pretty big.
Wow.
And yeah, and the thing is, like, they paid out a cash prize as well. You know what I'm saying? It was like $100, and it was whatever. For kids back then, that's pretty cool. But we held it when we held the second one. Some guys, because I was living in New York at the time, some guys from New York City got wind of the tournament, right? And they came up for the second one. And these are some names you might recognize: Dyer, the best Game and Watch back then; Wes, the Samus player, and this dude named Big G. He was like another good Samus, and they just destroyed it. Like, they pushed our shit in because we had never seen L canceling, we never seen wave dashing. I was like, yo, how do I do all this stuff? He's like, you can find videos and like guides and stuff if you go to a website called Smashboards. So that was my introduction to competitive Smash, and I never left it. I just got addicted to the game. I practiced all the time. I played all the titles that came out after it, and that's kind of where the story began.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, that's like where a lot of people started, and it's cool that it started at the grassroots. So, I mean, naturally, the next question is to ask, like, where did the commentary go in? Like, where did it transition from, like, okay, I'm gonna play the game, or I'm gonna cast the game? Like, was it like a binary thing? Like, was it like this shift, or was it like kind of like a casual transition?
Well, it kind of happened. It was almost accidental, is what I want to say, because there was a tournament in Virginia back in the day. It was called, this was like, I don't know, I want to say Brawl had been out for a couple months. The tournament was called C4. And that was a pretty big tournament. We had we had people from Florida come down. Die Superfly was there, Azin, Chillin' Dude, all those guys. So it was a pretty big deal for the tournament. And my best friend, dude named the Tantalus, is actually the host of the Glitch series for Xanadu. And he actually he's a big IT guy, right? So he bought like his computer, his laptop, to stream the event because streaming had just kind of started to pick up a little bit, and he had like this really kind of like, it was like an old stream setup, you know what I'm saying? I think it was actually streamed on Justin TV. He had like a Dazzle, just like this handheld mic. It was pretty bad back then, but the whole point was like, okay, we're just trying to get the content out. And I was at this tournament, I competed, and I went 1-2, so I had like a really bad showing at the tournament. And I was pretty bored waiting around and stuff like that. And then like I noticed that the stream setup was vacant. Like nobody was there talking, even though the mics were still live. So I just sat down. I grabbed a buddy of mine, just sat down. We just started talking. And honestly, like we were just talking shit, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like we weren't. This is far from like the commentary you see presented to you today. We were just like, oh man, this guy's ass. Like what was he thinking and stuff like that. You know, somebody said something about his mother. I don't know. Either back then it was a free for all back then. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we wanted to make the matches enjoyable. And I sat down. I must have done that. I think I did it for like the rest of the day. So I think we finished doubles. I did like all the singles. Or no, it was all singles. I'm sorry. It was all singles, but that must have been like 4 or 5 hours that I was just sitting there kind of rotating with people. And it was great because like 2 weeks later, I went and read like some of the YouTube comments because he told me he uploaded the VODs, and people were like, yo, this guy's hilarious. Like, yo, you need to do this more often. I was like, oh, word? Like, so that kind of like, that's what sparked my interest in commentate more. And then like every tournament we go to after that, I would just make sure I could get on the mic. And, obviously it turned into a little bit of a career right now.
That's pretty cool, man. I love how hearing that you were kind of a natural the first time you hopped on, you kind of understood what to do, because your style, I mean, your commentary style, just from an observer's perspective, always comes across as so effortless, just like you are who you are, and that's kind of what people appreciate about it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that kind of commentary style today, more the old school shit talking, who gives a damn commentary, isn't really as prominent now. I mean, Avi and I are both doc kids. Right? We came into the scene 2014, 2015, and we were never really around when the true grassroots commentary, like what you see in the Wombo combo, the where are you at, like the mic crackling, production quality commentary.
Yep.
I think people look back on that era so nostalgically and so with such fondness. I mean, do you long for that era? Or are you kind of happy that tournaments today have to adhere to a more like professional standard?
You know what? I'll be honest. Like, that was fun back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I was, a little younger and a little more reckless. And I admit I didn't mature, until like maybe like 4 years ago is when I started actually being a mature adult. If I'm being quite honest with you, I'm 31 right now. But for me, I think where we've gotten to commentary to the point right now is kind of where it should be, because like you could still have that grassroots feeling without having to be like as vulgar or as obnoxious. And to me, that matters a lot, because I have 4 goddaughters who I love very much, and they watch me when I commentate. Like, they like watching the tournaments and seeing me on the the computer or whatever. So obviously, like, I want to entertain the homies, but I'm not trying to go all off the rail, because I mean, I'm gonna keep it 100% with you. Like, we didn't abolish like words like rape until like maybe like what, 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. And like, you can't just be saying that all willy-nilly. Like, I didn't know that back then, you know what I'm saying? We just got,
Right.
It was just gamer terminology, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna apologize for being ignorant to that, but I certainly have, with a lot of people, I've definitely kind of cut that from my vocabulary, as one should.
Of course.
But there's just a lot of stuff back then that I don't think would fly now, or it wouldn't help us get to where we are. Obviously, we get like recognition from Nintendo and stuff like that. I mean, you see like Smash being more prominently featured. You see all these huge teams that have gotten into the Smash space. I mean, if we were still like talking, like back in the day, man, wouldn't know. First of all, everybody be canceled. There'd be twitlonger on everybody, and nobody would have a damn job. Okay, like we cannot go back, and that's okay. That's okay, because I think we're all better for it. And really, when you think about it, it's helped a lot of us as casters just refine our craft to a point where we don't have to be just limited to Smash, right? You can branch out and take your talents elsewhere as well. And I think that is so beneficial that why would you ever want to lose that?
Right. Well, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I think that I'm happy I was not a commentator 5 or 6 years ago, because I mean, granted, I was also, I'm 23. I'm much younger. I was like 17 6 years ago. So that comes with the territory of saying some whack shit. But what you just said kind of made me think about, you're not only a Smash guy, that might be where your heart and soul lies, but you also are a host for the NBA 2K League. And, because by nature, Smash commentary is more grassroots. Do you think it was those kind of grassroots surroundings that enabled you to develop your style on the mic of kind of saying some wild jokes and being the comic relief? And as you and the rest of the esports world at large work with more corporations like Nintendo or the NBA, do you envision a world where you're going to have to rein in your sense of humor?
I mean, for me, it's like I'm pretty straight up when I'm working like either an event or like approaching like a new gig. I'm like, look, like I like to entertain. I like to be silly. You know what I'm saying? I'll definitely skirt the line, but I won't cross it. You know what I'm saying? But I know generally what the audience is and what they want to hear and how to just make people, stay engaged and just have a good time. That's just what I generally try and do. When it comes to Smash commentary, especially when I tackled the NBA last year, when I did season 1, it was weird because I applied to be a host and they put me on commentary for like the first like 2 shows, and I was like, I don't want to commentate. I applied to be the host, or I'll just try it. I guess they were like thinking like, BEE, esports. I'm like, but it's a different kind of game. You know what I mean? It's not quite the same thing. So I remember I had to miss 1 week, and that kind of forced him to put the guy who did want to commentate on. And they're like, all right, well, he's happy here. You're happy like hosting at the hosting desk. We'll just let that be that, right? So, obviously working for the 2K League, like that's an actual NBA entity. So I was definitely a little more reserved than I tend to be, just because I didn't want to lose the job. I was a little nervous or whatever. But if you fast forward to this year for season 2, like they kind of gave me the keys. They got like, just do you, man. Like you're not gonna get fired, you're not gonna get in trouble. Like if we have to tell you to chill on some stuff, it is what it is. But just go out there and be you and have fun. And it was really great. It was a really great season. I had a lot of fun. Can't wait for season 3. And what it really showed me was like I can kind of adapt to my surroundings and still be myself. And it's gonna put out a good product that people are gonna like. So I got no complaints. I love both Smash and 2K, and I hope to get into other ventures as well, which is fun.
That's so cool, man. AV, sorry to cut you off.
No. I was I was just gonna say, like, we're gonna get into an era, well, hopefully, where Nintendo kind of does the same thing, where like we're gonna start seeing more sponsored events. We're gonna start seeing a lot more backing, at least if our projections are the way that we want it to be. So, so do you think that it's going to be different at all? Like, do you think that it's maybe not going to be as like, as what you say, maybe like as high stakes as with the NBA, or do you think that you'll be able to still, or do you think that you'll be able to essentially have the same style if Smash were to kind of become more legit in terms of the infrastructure?
Well, I've worked with Nintendo quite a few times at this point, actually. So I did their when they were doing the qualifiers for PAX East, like the North American Championships. I did that. I worked the actual PAX East event for them as well. I worked their World Championships at E3, and every single time they told me like, hey, we hired you to be you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to. The only thing, obviously, no cursing or anything like that. No sexual references, drug references. That's all common sense stuff when you're working with Nintendo, which I have no problem with. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. But that was the main thing. They're like, hey, just go out there, entertain, be yourself. With those slight restrictions, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that on the regular anyway. So for me, I don't feel like there's really too much I would have to adjust, right? I've already worked in this space. I'm comfortable in this space. And I'll give you a little inside information too. Like everybody who's like essentially in charge of like, I feel like the competitive stuff at like Nintendo, like, dude, they're all like homies. Like they are actually really chill individuals, and they understand the esports space and stuff like that. Like obviously, sometimes maybe their hands are going to be tied regarding certain things, shouts to Nintendo Japan, but all those guys are like absolute homies. They like being in the space and they want to be more involved. So that's why I feel like if you notice, like Europe, right? Europe announced that Nintendo circuit, which is pretty cool. They're partnering with established events that have been happening in Europe for years, which is just amazing. So I think North America might have something to look forward to in that regard as well. I'm not spoiling anything. I have no inside information. I'm not in any of these shareholders meetings. I don't know. I'm assuming what a lot of people are probably assuming. And they've already shown a willingness to compete in our esports space, with Smash, with Splatoon and stuff like that. So I have no reason not to think that there's a potential circuit in the works. I think that would be terrific. And I think a lot of casters will get a good opportunity because they're watching, they know who they're looking for, just keep doing your thing. That's it.
Of course, man. Well, in the event that Nintendo does do that, you got my vote. Not that I know any, not that I have Sakurai's number, but
sure.
I'll check my phone book. But given that you've had opportunities to work with Nintendo officially and Smash unofficially, right, in the grassroots,
yep,
as well as the NBA and Take-Two over at the 2K League, what do you think that the two communities could learn from each other? And I mean, are you of the mind that that we're missing anything, or do you think that we're good as we are?
I think like takeaways, honestly, like for me, I've heard some of the worst trash talk in any game in Smash Brothers. Like people just got no kind of clue how to talk some shit and just like swag out and stuff like that. That's not the case at 2K, man. Them dudes are all hilarious. I feel like everybody's like a goon over there, but it's like in a good way. You know what I mean? Like know how to have a good time and keep it in the game as well. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of those guys are hilarious. So I would say like that aspect is really good because that can actually be like really good. Just for keeping somebody interested or on camera and stuff like that. On the flip side of things, I think too, like the prize money, the support that 2K gets, obviously backed by the NBA, like that's huge. Like, so I love Smash events, but I understand like when I'm doing like a tournament 2K or they're playing in the playoffs, like these guys are playing for big money, like over $100,000. You know what I'm saying? Like it just has that's more of that sense of urgency compared to like that 2,500 pot that a Smash tournament might have. And I'm not knocking the events, obviously, like that kind of comes down to sponsors and stuff like that. But it's just kind of interesting to just think about how much of a difference that really makes in as far as like when you consider like, oh, is this going to be kind of life changing or is this guy going to be able to pay his rent for like 2 months? You know what I mean? Like that, that's kind of the way I look at it. So for me, I think really like Smash, one big thing that would help is if we can figure out a way to get some sponsorships. I'm not talking about Nintendo. Everybody always thinks like Nintendo has to supply the money. Like, no, if like people can be capable and attract other sponsors. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
I understand like maybe someone's willingness might not be quite there if they're not sure if the company is quite behind the game. But I think at this point, Nintendo's proven that they got no problem with the esports scene and people should not be afraid to kind of go all in with Smash. And I think a good example of that is actually those folks over at Thunder Smash. They're talking about I think they're talking about a circuit themselves or something like that. So, and you've seen how many people they've been picking up in the community. So I think that's a great example of not being afraid to invest in the community. And I think they're gonna have a nice payoff when it's all said and done.
Yeah. No, I like your optimism. I think that there definitely is money in Smash, and I think that the Smash community is pretty young. I think that we have some growing up to do, and I think we're starting to get there. Like for instance, I'm commentating a tournament at the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
In Fresno, California. If you've ever been to Fresno, California, and I apologize if you have, it is. If God exists, he was not involved with Fresno. Let me put it that way.
That's tough. Well, you got me wanting to go now. I mean, I gotta check out Fresno for myself sometime. We have to talk.
Oh, you did a mistake, Peon.
Oh God, please, for me, just don't go. Okay, run the opposite direction if you see a "Welcome to Fresno" sign. Just get the hell out of there. No, but I'm at this tournament in Fresno. It's called Super Smashed. Oh man, I should know the name. I'll put it in post. The beauty of editing. Hey guys, Peon here in post production. The tournament is called Super Smashed Fest. It will be in Fresno, California on September 28th. Be sure to check it out. This tournament has a $10,000 prize pot, and I'm like, okay. First of all, very few top players are going. It's not a well advertised event, yet somehow some entrepreneurial people are making the right phone calls and are getting the right wealthy people involved. And I would like to see a bit more of an entrepreneurial effort from tournament organizers. I think that it's easier said than done. But if you can get a $10,000 prize pool in Fresno, California, you can get $1 million in Vegas. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I feel like it's possible. Like, and Vegas has kind of become a little bit of a hub for esports. I feel like too. Like, they got a couple different facilities over there. I know that that WSOE I think is over there. I know they got obviously that esports arena, and there's something else that they're working on too. Caesars does a couple little things. Like, they definitely got some. They definitely got some good things going for them. And I love that personally because I think Vegas is awesome. And I think that'd be a great place to see Smash, flourish and continue to do so.
Vegas is unlike Fresno as any city could be.
Listen, we're going to talk after this recording, and you're going to give me some contact information for who's in charge of this Fresno tournament because I am intrigued, to say the least.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Like, I mean, most of the time it's crazy because like you got people like Zero restreaming the tournament, making more money than the people who are like attending themselves.
Right.
Like, So it makes absolutely no sense. But that being said, I think I want to pivot a little to something about like the way that you've developed your commentary style and the way that you've developed with other people. Something that people talk a lot is this thing known as like commentary synergy in the general sense. Do you think that there's some types of commentators that are just unable to work with each other, and how much does commentary style play into pairing, or is it something that's a little more fluid, that's adaptable, especially among the top talent of commentators?
I see. I don't know if I'm going to be the right person to dissect this perfectly, but let me give you my take on that. Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I can work with you if you understand, like, sometimes you just got to shut up. Like, the worst experience I've had with commentary is when people just like they just talk over you. You know what I mean? Like for me, like, and that's why I tell people who ask me all the time, like, yo, how do I get into commentary? I'm like, well, obviously freaking commentate, you know what I'm saying? But you got to be able to like have good synergy with people too. And you know, obviously me and TK have a immaculate synergy, but I have great synergy with people like D1, DC, Coney as well. You know, the one time I worked with Haz at Shine in Silent Doom and stuff, it was just easy stuff because like these guys understand, like, okay, like, you know, we're commentating. It's not like a showcase of what you can do. It's a showcase of what you two can do, right? Like, how can you guys sound engaging? How can you break down the match, keep people entertained and stuff like that? And for me, it just comes down to, I feel like some people are just trying. Sometimes they just try a little too hard to like be the star of the show because they're just like they either want to feel like, oh, we got to outshine you to make sure we get our names out there, or you know, I just want to kind of go over the top so you know somebody never forgets me. It's just like if you just work together, it's just so much better. It really is. And my style is obviously I love the hype moments, right? It's very hard for me not to be engaged into a match. Outside of like roasted dittos or Sonic dittos from Smash 4, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very hard for me not to be engaged in the match. But one thing that people probably don't pay attention to is the fact, like, I don't always have to get that sound bite. Like, if it's like kind of last stock, last hit, and something wild happens, like I don't make myself have to be like the final voice you hear, right? I'll pull back if my co-caster is mid-sentence or he's like looking like he's about to gear up. Like, I can kind of gauge that stuff, and I feel like that kind of comes with understanding body language and stuff like that. And maybe that's something that kind of comes with time as well. But for me, it just really comes down. I don't mean to ramble here, but you know, look at me not, you know, not taking my own advice and not shutting the hell up. But for me, it just kind of comes down to you got to be able to gauge your co-caster and work well with them among everything and suit your style and adjust on the fly and stuff like that.
Dude, that's so cool because, like, so I play jazz. I've been playing jazz for like 7 years, and often the worst thing when you get down with a bunch of people, the worst thing you can see is a bunch of people just staring at their own instruments. So I've never really thought about it in the way of like when you're teaming with a co-caster, you have to like look at them at the same time. You have to like be attentive of their body language, and there's like this nonverbal communication that exists. So I actually really like that. I think that's a super cool way to look at it.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's just kind of how I operate. TK is the same way.
I mean, would it be fair to say that you think of yourself as a sort of jazz musician?
I mean, jazz has got some funky beats, and I got some funky commentary, so I think 2 and 2 might go hand in hand more than you think.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Now, speaking of commentary pairings, right? Who is a historical figure, alive or dead, that you could commentate with? Who would be your guy or girl?
John Wick. All right, no, I'll give you. Let me give you a real answer. Oh my goodness, a historical figure who I could. Now, when we say historical figure, like, are we limiting that to like, you know, oh my God, they've changed and revolutionized the world, or can I like pick an actor I really like?
Yeah, they can be like notable. They can be like vaguely familiar.
Okay, so I would say Morgan Freeman. I think.
Oh, damn.
I think me and Morgan Freeman on the mic could be magic. Like, I feel like if I could sit Morgan down, right, get him acclimated to Smash, like just enough where he could just talk about it, right? I think just that pairing alone would just bless everybody's ears, and they should actually campaign for it. And if this man has a Twitter, I might actually tweet at him and suggest.
Can we make this? Do we have the means to make this happen? Surely, less likely things have occurred in human history. We can make this happen.
Listen, look. There's a guy walking around right now that has a lifetime membership to the Wendy's Chicken Nugget Club. Okay, because he made a tweet. All right, and got social media engaged. Okay, I'm friends with Mia Khalifa. Okay, I can do anything I set my mind to, boys. Okay, I can do anything I set my mind to. Shouts to Mia.
Can we get a hashtag trending? I don't know, Freeman. Like Morgan Freeman with two E. Wait, no, there already are two E's in Morgan Freeman.
Two capitalized E's, my guy.
There we got it. Okay, yeah. There. Okay, you know what to do, internet. Let's do this. Yeah. Okay. You said me a Khalif, and I'm all distracted. Well, I mean, let's talk about this. Like AV and I, we kind of, well. It's different for us, right? Because AV and I, we co-host a podcast together. Right? It's kind of an intimate thing, and it's static. Sure, we have a guest such as yourself when we can, but usually it's just the two of us, and we kind of feel we've talked about this a bit typecasted in the sense that I'm kind of the one who's supposed to bring the humor. AV, my boy, is supposed to bring the analysis and the profound statements, and. I'm okay with the fact that we've kind of established that role, and I mean, at least my perception of how the community at large perceives you is to be like the funny, wild commentator, right? Despite the fact that you certainly and often provide really great insight into matches and into people's play styles and where their heads at. Do you ever feel like you're typecasted as a funny dude?
You know what? Yes, I do actually, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And the reason I don't think that is a bad thing, so I'll give you an example. I'm a big sports guy. And all my favorite sports talk shows, like they have their established role. It's just like that's why you have a color commentator and you have your analyst and stuff like that, a play-by-play guy. Like you pick your role and you don't just sit in it, you thrive and you master it and you make it something that's irreplaceable. I don't think there's anything wrong with defined roles. I'm not I'm not trying to sit down and commentate with my boy Korean and like go toe to toe in a freaking analyst contest or like a play by play or humor and stuff like that. Like there's no point to that because we can just do it. Like we could just make it flow without any real effort because, obviously we know what we came in to do. Now, obviously, I think, maybe if you're with somebody you're not familiar with, obviously, like kind of talk to them beforehand and prep is always a great thing. But no, like I know my role, I'm established in it, and I don't think anybody does it better, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's pretty respectable, honestly. Because like a lot of the time, like I think about it, and I think there's like a huge meme that I'm always like thinking and I was introspecting, and it's like and it's like there's this kind of air around it and around the fact that like it's actually more fun to double down on the meme than it is to kind of try and fight it in any way. So I can totally see that. And I feel like the more that we've, I guess, developed as a duo, I can totally see that like kind of occupying the roles and like kind of thriving in them is definitely the better mode to be in.
There's nothing, people appreciate familiarity. There's nothing wrong with that. Trust me. Because I can't tell you how many times I watched a stream or had somebody tag me like, "Yo, look at this discount or bargain brand EE." I'm like, "Oh no!" Like, just be yourself, man. Do your thing. You know what I mean? Like, just do your thing, homie.
Yeah, I think that like I hear that a lot. Like I know. I was speaking to Coney last. We had him on the show, and actually, I remember at some point, I think it was off the air, we were talking about that concept of people, I think specifically in reference to you, actually, of like people copying other people's commentary styles. And I think you're kind of a really funny person to reference when talking about like commentary phonies, because your style is so hard to copy, right? I don't think that anybody else can pull it off. There's a little bit of magic to it. but you see that, like you see, I think EE is another great example where people will like it'll be a local stream, right? A Captain Falcon will get an air dodge read into a down air, and then like Zelda main 16 will be like destruction, and it's kind of like certain people, certain commentators have their own like patents on phrases and on styles.
Yeah.
Like what do you think about that? Do you think that there's a solution for those people, or are they just doomed?
I think those. I mean, I think anyone who's like that is, well, one, I get it because maybe like you're still new to commentary, you haven't really fleshed out your own style yet, so you're just trying to emulate what you think works, what people want to hear. But the problem is when you start doing that, when you start trying to sound like a me or a TK or a Coney, what have you, the problem is people are going to be thinking like, yo, where's TK? Where's EE? Where's Coney? You know what I mean? Like that's initially going to be their first thoughts. Which, and Twitch chat is can be a hard mistress to please sometimes, man. You be doing your best and it still ain't good enough for them. So you gotta always make sure, like, even if you're not providing the greatest of commentary, like, just make sure you're being yourself at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously we all learn from each other, and I'm not the only funny person out there. There's plenty of humorous casters, you know what I'm saying, but they do it in their own way. So whether you want to do analysis or humor or just maybe a mix of play-by-play, just make sure you're doing it in your own way. At the end of the day, that's really what kind of matters to me, I think, anyway.
Some sage advice from a wise man. I mean, when talking about developing your style as a commentator, I'm prompted to ask you about your development as a Smash player. I mean, before you fell in love with talking about the game, you fell in love with the series.
Of course.
What is the similarities, if any, between developing yourself as a Smash player and developing yourself as a commentator?
I mean, well, it's kind of like, it's the same thing. Like, practice makes perfect. You got to play the game to be able to speak to it on any kind of level. Like, I played Melee. I was very competitive at Melee. Got a few good wins under my belt in Melee. Brawl, I was pretty damn good. I was power ranked in my region several times. I got a bunch of good wins. Smash 4, I didn't. So I liked Smash 4, but I didn't love it. Like, I loved Melee and I loved Brawl, but I didn't love Smash 4, right? So that wasn't quite as appealing to me, but I still played it. I still learned it. I still enjoyed commentating it. And then you fast forward to Ultimate. I absolutely love Ultimate. The problem is, like, a lot of people ask me, like, oh, how come you don't, play quite as much or don't enter tournaments? I actually have a mild case of arthritis in my hands. So I physically, like, I can only play it for so long without it starting to bother me. I like to play my PC games as well, like Fortnite, PUBG, and stuff like that. So that's the reason I don't quite, compete at that level anymore. But it's the same thing. Like, if you enjoy something, you practice it, you get better at it, and you're not afraid to take criticisms too. Like, I've read plenty of comments that have, coming up that have kind of helped me get a gauge for, like, maybe some things I said too much, or maybe I showed bias where I didn't mean to and stuff like that. And, that's like, oh, you got you got a spot dodging problem, or, you kind of spam this a little too much. It all goes hand in hand as far as, like, learning goes. If you want to learn something, I don't care if it's commentary or the game or whatever, you're going to learn it and you're going to be open to it and be receptive to it. And you're probably going to benefit from it if you're dedicated enough.
Yeah.
Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, that absolutely did. And on this topic of kind of developing yourself as a commentator and as a smasher, do you feel like there's this, like, ideal, like, point where you just you build up to as in, like, you build yourself up as a smasher, and then at some point it really doesn't matter how much better you get, you can do commentary? Or are there like no limitations on how good you need to be to do commentary? Because often I think people will get criticized, and sometimes unrightfully so, that that they shouldn't be doing commentary because they're not good at the game. And I often don't see a complete correlation, although sometimes I do understand that being good at the game does help. So do you see do you see this correlation, or do you not see it? What is your opinion on that?
If you're gonna, it really, so that's interesting. That's actually where I think, like, it kind of helps for you to know what kind of commentator you're going to be, right? Like, let's say, like, for instance, play by play, right? As long as you understand the game, you're gonna be able to do play by play commentary. That's pretty obvious. Kind of same thing with kind of color to an extent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I obviously like to know what I'm talking about. But if you're gonna be like on that analysis tip, you can't be getting 3-stocked every game. Who the hell's gonna respect you and take you seriously? So, I mean, there's definitely levels to it, but I think like, obviously being a capable player is very, very helpful in the long run. And I don't mean like you got to sit there and top 8 freaking every national you go to. That's very unrealistic. The people who do that are, we're commentating their matches for a reason. But I do think a solid grasp and fundamentals in the game will certainly help you go far. And I understand that, and I try and keep myself about as sharp as possible, and especially just when it comes to like new characters and new matches and stuff like that. I like to stay informed, so I think that's pretty fair to have that expectation of a caster. Don't be ass. I don't know.
Yeah, don't be ass. See, I can agree with that. But yeah, I can see that, because sometimes there's just things that you just can't see, or there's things that will just miss your eye. Like a certain DI mix up is often so nuanced that in order to know that it's there, you have had to like be put in that position or have an expert of the character know that.
And no one's perfect. We all miss stuff. You know what I'm saying? I've seen I've seen people admit like, oh man, I didn't even realize I did that. The guy who's playing. You know what I mean? So no one's perfect. We're all gonna miss stuff, but as long as you're like providing some meaningful, you're saying some meaningful shit. Much better than just not. You know what I mean? Just be like, oh man, I can't believe that worked. Like, well, it's been working for the last 4 rounds. It's gonna, I work in top 8 too.
Along the lines of like developing yourself as a player or commentator, I'm interested to learn how Smash, and maybe to an extent, casting 2K, what impact that has had on you just as a man. Without esports commentary, what does your life look like? Is there no Mia Khalifa? Is Morgan Freeman miles and miles away in a pipe dream? Who is EE without esports?
EE without esports is Phil, and Phil is a pretty damn awesome dude, but I think EE's a little cooler. You know what I mean? Just as far as like, I don't know. Like, I've actually thought about that several times, and the only thing I can really say is like, I've always had like a desire to be an entertainer, so maybe I would have tried to do a little stand-up comedy or see where that goes. Or I also had I almost went to school, like I wanted to kind of pursue a like a television host, or not a host, I'm sorry, like a news host, or like a anchorman, stuff like that. Like, yeah, I thought that would be kind of cool too. But really I don't know, like Smash is taking me like, it's taking me like all over the world to places I never thought I'd go. I've been to Dubai twice, you know what I'm saying? Like London, Canada, Mexico. These are all really cool places that I would not have had without the opportunity for Smash and 2K as well, because I've gone to places with them as well. So that's really hard. I guess I'd just be a regular Joe who'd still be interested in esports, but certainly not to this level, and I wouldn't be involved either. Like, wow, that's actually scary to think about. I don't know. It's a very hard question to answer, because I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know.
It's kind of hard, just because you have to like extrapolate from like so long ago. It's like it's impossible to kind of draw that path out, because like everything that you've kind of built up to is like based on these things.
When I decided to go full time, I actually I had full time at work. I was working for the county, and it was cool. It was a cool gig, but the thing was, like, they started getting wary because I kept taking all those Fridays off to go to tournaments, and then like I'd come home Monday and be like, "Yo, can I just close?" But we're like only open till 6, so I get there at like 3, work till 6, and the people who've been there since 7, 8 a.m. are kind of pissed. I'm getting paid like a full day for only working 3 hours. Like, that didn't last too long. So that's when I kind of pulled the trigger and decided I was just gonna like try and full time stream and pursue this esports stuff. And I did it at a loss for about 2.5 years. Before I finally started seeing a little bit of a breaking even and then like a profit. So it's certainly not easy.
Thank
But
God,
I
dude.
will say, the shit I went through certainly made it easier for a lot of these new guys, and I don't think everybody appreciates that quite as much. But I'm happy to see people thrive, so it's all good.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you this. I'm happy that this is your profession, EE. I think that I'm happy that we don't have to really ponder what your life would be like without esports, because you're good at what you do, man. I have to say you brought a lot of joy to a lot of people, and I'm glad that you're not working for the county full time.
Working for the man. I'm glad I escaped too, man.
EE, we've kept you for a long time. Before you leave, though, we are going to play a game.
Okay.
The game is called Did EE Really Say That?
All right, I'm down. I'm wary, but I'm down.
Don't worry too much. The game is simple as this. AV and I will alternate. We'll say a quote, an EE quote, that is or isn't real. And it's as simple as that. You have to tell us, I said that or I did not say that. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, AV, I'll start it off. Actually, AV, you do this one. You like this one.
All right, sure. All right, we don't need Shovel Knight in this game. Nairo digging graves his damn self.
Oh, I said that. MLG 2015, baby. That is some of the best commentary I ever delivered for one of my best friends. You're damn right I said it.
I told you, man. I knew that he'd remember that one. All right.
Okay. 3 best shooters ever: Steph Curry, the Police, and Bayonetta.
I said that shit. I said it. I said it.
Correct. That was. Oh, I don't remember when that was. Actually,
was that a Bayonetta ditto?
It was a Bayonetta versus a Robin. I don't remember who versus who.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, AV, this one's you.
All right. You remember when all that Ebola talk went away? That is because of this doc right here.
I didn't say that.
You did say that.
I did. Oh my god! Did I really? Oh man! I thought that would have been too sensitive of a topic. I guess I don't know myself that well. Really? I said that. Do you know what match it's from?
No, I don't. It was on Duck Hunt. I remember. It was a Doc versus. It was when Duck Hunt was legal in Smash 4, so it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Maybe the Goddaughters either were not tuning in or don't know what Ebola was.
I would assume so.
Okay, man. Is this man the savior? Because he is crossing up everybody today.
I did not say that.
Correct?
All right. There we go.
Right. Well, you have to understand, making up EE quotes is just being a phony EE clone, and it's very hard. You need to understand this.
I mean, that's fair. I feel like the religion in there was a little bit of a giveaway, but no, like I don't get it twisted. I could say that shit, but I didn't say that shit.
All right, Amy, this one's you.
Oh man. All right, this man is going way downtown, and I think he's coming to a town near you. Arm yourself, form a small military force, and watch your damn selves, because this guy's crazy.
I don't feel like I said that, and if I did, I'm very embarrassed.
Well, that's good, because you definitely did say that.
Okay.
Okay. How about this one? Look at that percent on Yoshi rising just like the stocks I invested in. It's good to be white.
Okay. I don't think I said that, but if I did, maybe I was inebriated.
You did.
I did say that. I did say that. I said it's good to be white.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You did, and it's one of my favorite pieces of commentary of all time. I think I spit out my water when I heard that. I think it was Smash the Record you said that.
You know what? That doesn't surprise. Anything for the kids. Anything for the kids.
We're saving lives out here, man. You get off karma free for that one. EE, my friend, thank you so much for coming on today. Where can people find you?
If you're interested in following me, the 2 best avenues would be on Twitter at @ThePhenomenalEE. Make sure you spell phenomenal right. because there's some guy who has the same name, but they used the I instead of an O. So make sure you spell that right. And then EE the Great, THE, all one word on Instagram as well. And yeah, I mean, those are my two main avenues. I do stream on Twitch sometimes. My Twitch is in my bio on both. So check me out if you're about that life. We'd love to have you.
Hell yeah, man. Well, hey, thanks again for coming on. It was a lot of fun, and I wish you luck, man, in all your commentary endeavors.
I appreciate it, man. Absolutely. Great time, guys.
Welcome back to Beyond the Metagame. AV and I just finished our interview with EE, and AV, I have to say, EE is one of the good ones, man. He is a class act. And I just now remembered, we didn't induct him into the BTM Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, isn't that your job? So I think, but I don't blame you. He is his. I think I was just really, really impressed with his eloquence, his ability to produce answers that made sense without and being concise and just delivering the truth. Like it was dope. He had a lot of really cool things to say about a lot of very, very important topics and regarding esports infrastructure, regarding commentary pairings, developing your own style. So if you were a little blown away and just kind of forgot, and I don't blame you at all, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. He is one of those people. He's so funny. He's such a jolly guy that I think people discredit just how intelligent he is. The dude's so smart, and he's so open and honest, and there's just a lot to respect about him. And I'm just so happy we got him on the show. He was an awesome guest. But AV, it is time to do one of our favorite segments. It is the time of the show where we answer questions from you. Yeah, you listening can ask AV and I questions via the Discord. And this week, AV actually has picked out 3 questions. And AV, I'll fire the first one off. It's a bit of a doozy from my good friend Nomex, whose Pikachu is amazing, and Bowser Jr. He says, AV and Peon, I have a question concerning post-set salt from opponents. In my experience, I'm speaking as Nomex, I've witnessed 3 distinct forms of salt following sets. There's this game sucks salt, I suck at this game salt, and my opponent is too annoying salt. I was curious how you guys feel one should respond when an opponent reacts in one of the 3 ways after losing a set against you. If he gets upset and says something along the lines of, this game sucks, why didn't that move hit? Is it best to agree that the game could be cheesy sometimes, or just to remain quiet? If he mumbles something about your annoying character, should you just remain quiet? And if he gets down on himself and vents his frustrations about his own play, should you offer advice? AV, what do you think?
I mean, it's really funny because this like literally just happened to me last night. So there was someone who was really mad at grounded spinning Kong, which understandably is, which is a really frustrating move. It's really, that's right. So the moment that I won with a grounded spinning Kong, no less, he jumped up and said that move is broken, and he like in a very like excited way and like angry way. And then I wasn't really thinking, so I just stood up with him and I was like, he's shouting, I want to shout too. And I'm like, I shouted, but like something kind of positive. I was like, yeah, I totally agree, man. And I was like,
wait. Help me understand that. Was that like in a confrontational sense? Like, yeah, man, this was broken, or was it like, were you kind of like, laughing about it? Like, no.
It was like not. I wouldn't even call it confrontational. It was more like a like looking up to the sky and saying why, like why is that stuff's really dumb. But I mean, later, like afterward, like he eventually did like calm down a bit, and he came back and later was talking to me. Because I think he's very self-aware of that like he does this. So I think, first of all, I love the way that you broke down the 3 types of salt, Nomex. Like I think that's really funny. And it usually is what kind of those 3, because it's the 3 things that that you really, it's 2 things you can't control. one thing is I suck at this game. Well, you can control that, but not in the current moment. Improvement is an infinitesimal observation over periods of time. So really, you can't control any three of those. So that's why you complain about it. And the thing is that if you try to like confront people who are salty, it doesn't really work exactly the way that you think it was. That will most of the time. I'm gonna be very generalistic here and say generally don't, and then like don't like say anything unless unless they start like being really confrontational with you, or they start acting toxic, in which like at least someone should get involved. Someone should not let bad behavior fly. So that is kind of my take on it. Generally, like I don't like confronting people, but I do like agreeing with people for some reason whenever they get salty, even though it probably doesn't help at all. Because when I said that and I said, yeah, it's really broken, he just screamed at me and saying, that doesn't help, man. And I was like, yeah, I was probably right. It wasn't really helping.
I guess I'm more direct with people. Like, if people, like I was telling AB this, like some guy didn't shake my hand after a set recently after I beat them, and I kind of confronted him like, "Hey man, why won't you shake my hand? What'd I do?" Like, and then he kind of with salt walked away. And I think it's okay to demand that people behave in a respectful way. And if they are just salt lords, right? Like, I asked that guy, "Hey man, why didn't you shake my hand?" Not in such a, it wasn't like an aggressive way. It was just like I was trying to understand what he was salty about. And, that dude walked away with salt, but the next time I saw him, we kind of locked eyes and we actually played friendlies the next time I saw him. And I could tell he didn't say sorry, but he was acting in a way as if to suggest to me like, "Hey man, I know that what I did last time was kind of douchey," right? He kind of almost acknowledged it with his body language and behavior. And I think that patience with these people is the most important thing. Kind of turn the other cheek, be the better person. And but if they cross a line for you, if they make you feel uncomfortable, and if they're acting just in a way that's bad for the venue, the spiking controllers, they're actually being rude to people whose like first time it is at a tournament. That you have to nip that in the bud. And if you have to confront him or the TO to do so, there is no shame in that. I think that's a good move. It's healthy for everybody. But yeah, that's
absolutely, man. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and fire this next one up from Cricey, or Cryesi, spelled Chriesi. Just so either way, I got the spelling on the table. It's so Sakurai has a gun pointed at your head, Avian Peon. The only way you're getting out of this one is by deciding the next character balance patch. You have to nerf 3 characters. Who do you choose? And specifically, what about them do you nerf?
All right. Well, you want to alternate? AV, I'll pick a character. You pick a character.
I mean, we probably both. I mean, I guess, do you want to do this jointly, or do you want to have like a individual thing? Actually, let's just do this jointly, and then maybe we'll do 4. We'll do 4. Okay, go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna suggest Joker. I know that you picked up Joker. I would like to see some of the stuff in doubles specifically toned down for him. I would nerf the Arsene regeneration when Pokemon trainer swaps characters. Like right now, there's a big controversy of whether or not Pokemon trainer and Joker, the team composition, should be banned, because when Pokemon trainer swaps Pokemon, Joker gets an absurd amount of Arsene meter. I forgot what that's called. And also, when your teammate takes damage in doubles, as a Joker player, your Arsene gets charged up. And it's just like, Arsene in doubles is just gross. He has like seemingly 100% Arsene uptime. And I just think Arsene in general is up a little too often. Other than that, I think leave him as he is, but nerf Arsene generation.
I actually think that's a very, very smart, very smart way to tackle Joker. Moving on to mine, this may strike people as unnecessary, but I think Wario's Waft needs to be nerfed. There's a lot of mechanics in this game that are very polarizing, stuff that kills you very early. But none like the Waft. It feels like you're playing on it feels like you're playing at a deficit if you are not ahead of Wario, especially as time goes on. And often when you look at the characters that have been really broken in the series, in the Smash Bros. Franchise, it's basically characters who make you think and play completely differently than any other character in the game. Not saying that like you shouldn't have to adapt certain things, like you obviously have to turn your brain on sometimes, but like you shouldn't the game shouldn't be so over centralized around that mechanic to the point where you feel like restricted in your play style. So I think that move should get toned down in either but I don't think charge time would really do anything because it does take a really long time to charge. So maybe just decreasing the power a little and making it less of this ridiculous like kill it in near zero like move. And I would be okay with Wario seeing some improvements elsewhere if it meant that this kind of over centralizing move wasn't so powerful.
Yeah. I think that's a fair critique. For my next character, I guess we're each choosing two. Then I would choose Snake, specifically his up tilt. I think that Snake is such a great character. I think that his neutral is obviously amazing. His trapping, kind of like ledge trapping, advantage state game is so good. And his disadvantage state is actually very underrated. Like, granted, his recovery is not the best, but things like C4 and teching off the stage and flying way above the stage and kind of dropping grenades and C4 from above makes his disadvantage state, I think, while it isn't the best in the game, it's actually underrated in my opinion. And his up tilt, it's like one of those moves that's so broken in a vacuum. It's like a classic, like in Smash 4, for instance, there was always the low tiers that were terrible, but for some reason they just had like one godly move, like Little Mac and KO Punch, and that's Snake's up tilt. But he's already an amazing character. It guarantees a kill confirm if you grab anybody beyond 160%. It's just an amazing anti-air. It comes out so quickly considering it kills people like below 100. It's ridiculous. I think that move could very justifiably be toned down a bit.
I agree. I mean, I think there's a lot of different things to Snake that you could probably do, but toning on the up tilt might be one of those things because it's like Snake is really good at keeping you out and like having distant pressure that just with this like wall of explosives. So the things that make him broken are consistent kill confirms or consistent ways to kill. So targeting those things is how you keep Snake's playstyle alive and not without getting the character, but also making it a little more a little more interactive and
but I want to keep it like because the artillery is what makes Snake. I want to keep that alive, but nerf the boxing tools, nerf the tools that don't really fit his archetype yet still persist.
Have you? Okay, here's the thing. Like in the entire Metal Gear Solid game, I've never seen him do this crazy like split kick. He's like literally 180. He's making a 180 degree angle between his one leg and the other. I've never seen him do any kind of these acrobatics.
It's like some like weird alpha male like genitalia like exposition. Like it's you know what I mean? It's like a dog that just like I don't know. I'm not going to go there, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah. It's a bizarre feat of nature.
I don't think nerfing his boxing would make sense because he should be like a CQC expert. But like, yeah, nerfing that weird leg
that
thing,
ballet maneuver.
Yeah, it's not canon at all. Like throw that power into the down smash. Like I don't care. But Moving on. Okay, this one's is going to sound stupid because I have no real solid game plan for how I want this character to be nerfed because I don't think I'm qualified at choosing how this character should be nerfed, and I want to kind of preface that, but I think Pikachu needs to be turned down a little. Like, now we have a lot of really good friends who play Pikachu, and I don't want their character to be nerfed. This character is actually surprisingly hard to kill with, even though Pikachu is an incredibly good character and has a lot of very, very good strengths. Nearly everything you would want in a character. Good mobility, good disadvantage, amazing out of shield options, great combo game. Like the kill setups are inconsistent. Like how you go into the kills is like painting a picture every time. It's very nuanced and it's complex. So nerfing this character is very, very difficult, but I do think Pikachu is a little stronger than I think it deserves to be. So
I think you can
I
just
I
you can
don't know.
tone down some of like the crazy stuff. Like tone down dash attack, for instance.
Yeah.
A dash
Mhm.
attack kills so early, and it's just a Pikachu headbutting something. Like it shouldn't be that crazy.
Right. So like I guess toning down like similar to the way that Snake plays, or like I mean Pikachu's like up there also kills surprisingly early. Like just I guess toning down like the kind of silly kill options are probably the way to go. Yeah, so like yeah, maybe dash attack, which is weirdly safe. It always looks safe when I see dash attack spammed because like ESAM definitely uses that a lot to kill. And like up throw maybe a little like let it kill a few percents later, but I don't think anything should be done to the core character because I think it would just completely ruin the way that Pikachu's played.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
But also, speaking of Pikachu, I do want to shout out H4DS from the Discord. Famed Pikachu player at Port Priority had some crazy upsets, beat Myron, and
So
also
he beat Myron before that. It was at a weekly before that. But yes, he did he did beat Myron this
thank you,
weekend.
thank you. It was at the
Yeah.
pre-tournament, right? He also beat a couple other Comet, another really good player, a couple like number one in state type PR players. So like the whole BTM Discord is really popping off for him. And yeah, I don't know. Shout outs to he also took Elegant to a very close game 5. So H4DS man, we're proud of you. And please, I inspire anyone else to share their tournament results with us in the Discord too, because we care. But
Yeah.
AV, we do have one more question. I'll fire it out for you. It's by Vagrant, and Vagrant asks, I've noticed that I don't shield as often as I should, if at all. How can I practice shielding and or when to shield? It's a problem that they've had since Smash 64 days until now, but just recently realized it as one of their sparring partners pointed it out.
Okay, so I'm going to answer because this is a very open-ended question and it seems very difficult to answer in a straight-ahead way. I'm going to wax poetic here and see
You're going
and
to
see.
what?
It means I'm going to try to display this in a more philosophical way than is probably necessary. But here's how I'm going to describe this. Shielding is an option that should actually be used interchangeably with movement. If you think about melee, the reason that shielding is actually not is way less common in melee than it is in ultimate or Smash 4 especially, where shield was an incredible option, is because you have movement options that allow you to dynamically place yourself on a stage where you want to be, instead of just kind of staying in the same place, having no kinetic energy and just being like stuck in this area where you're not able to act until a certain amount of frames. So whenever you think about shielding, you should think about in place of doing a movement option, in place of walking, in place of or any of the other defensive options. So a shield is used as like a blockade. So whenever you feel like you have stage control, or you're getting pressured and you can't move, that is where you shield. Because the thing is, whenever you think about shielding, is that it always kind of is preceded or is done like it is done into there's something, it's like into a shield, you're moving into a shield, or you're moving out of a shield. So whenever you feel like you just need to blockade a small amount of pressure, that's where you should be injecting the shield. Don't use it as like an all, like don't think about shielding as like a something to practice. It's just that when you're getting pressured, and you have no other option, if you're just getting a bunch of attacks sent at you, that's where you replace that's where you put the shield in. If you're expecting an attack, if you're expecting something that if you're expecting a move that is really laggy, you shield it. But the thing is that if someone's like putting a bunch of really safe pressure, like using a bunch of really safe options that you won't be able to punish even if you do shield, oftentimes the answer isn't to shield. It's to kind of play around it and to predict what they're going to do and to preempt that. So I hope that was clear. I think Peon might be able to kind of put that into a more concise package. But generally, it's you only shield when there's like kind of like an attack that you feel like you can punish, or you're in just such a bad position that you just need something to get you out of a high pressure situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just you said it all, Abby. I mean, I don't really know what I could add to that. But that's all the time we got for questions, Abby. Yeah, thank you for finishing that one off. And that brings us to the conclusion of episode 2, season 4. AV, where can people find you, my friend?
People can find me at Abhi Vaidyanatha on Twitter. That's A plus my long Indian last name. And I understand if you don't want to learn it. It's not that long as far as Indian last names go. There's
Abhi, I still have not
definitely
found you on Twitter. We've been hosting the show together for like a year now. Oh, it's been a year. We didn't talk about that.
Oh yeah, it has been a year.
Well, for those who are still listening for whatever reason, I guess you're one of the true ones. You've probably been around for the year. BTM's kind of celebrating its 1 year anniversary. Hey, we have to do something special next week. We'll I don't know. We'll have some more proper acknowledgement or something. Well, I'll go buy you a beer or something, man. But congratulations to us. Put a drink in the air for your boys. And you can find me at Peon_BTM. That's right, Peon_BTM. That is Bravo, Tango, Mike, for all of you military folk. We're kicking it old school. And you can find our show, Beyond the Metagame, at Beyond Metagame. The show you're currently listening to is called Beyond the Metagame. But do you think that Twitter gives a goddamn? No. They don't. So that's at Beyond Metagame. You can also find me, and I'm kind of going out of order. Recently, I started streaming again. I'm at twitch.tv/peonchop. That's twitch.tv/peonchop, CHOP after the peon. Give me a follow. I'll be playing some Smash there, and you can fight me. But AV, that's all the time we have for this week. As always, thank you for listening, and goodbye. This week's show is brought to you by our patrons: Big Tip, Vanderson, Ferris, Grandpa Rem, Honk Lava, Macatoon, Robert, Ultimate, Dean Guy, Minlo, BK Otter, BK Otter, BK Otter.